It begins subtly, doesn't it? A casual tap on a profile picture, a quick scroll through an old feed, just checking in. We tell ourselves it's harmless curiosity, a way to stay informed, or perhaps a means to understand. But for many, this innocuous act can spiral into a consuming psychological loop, transforming mere observation into what we might call relational surveillance. We find ourselves drawn into the digital lives of others, a past lover, a new acquaintance, a romantic interest, even a competitor with an intensity that often surprises us. Why do we do it? And more importantly, why can't we stop? The illusion, of course, is that by watching, we gain control or clarity. We believe that if we just gather enough data points, enough glimpses into someone's public or semi-public life, we will somehow unlock the secrets of their intentions, their feelings, or their fidelity. We might convince ourselves that scrolling through their vacation photos from 2 years ago or analyzing the likes on their most recent posts will reveal some profound truth about their current state of mind regarding us. This belief stems from a fundamental human desire for certainty in the oft-uncertain landscape of relationships. In a world where direct communication can feel vulnerable or inconvenient, the digital breadcrumbs scattered across social platforms offer a tempting, seemingly low-risk alternative. We think we're being smart, gathering intelligence, preparing for what's next. But what we're actually doing is engaging in a self-reinforcing cycle that often breeds more anxiety than answers. The hidden mechanism behind this compulsion is a complex interplay of attention economics, investment imbalance, and our perception of value. In the digital age, attention is a currency, and we often invest it heavily in those we are trying to understand or influence. When we monitor someone, we are, in a sense, investing our precious mental and emotional resources into their digital presence. This investment, however, is often profoundly imbalanced. We pour our focus, our time, our energy into observing someone who is completely unaware of our intense scrutiny, or at least unaware of its depth. The perceived value of the information we extract, however trivial, then becomes disproportionately high because of the effort we've expended. Each new post, each comment, each fleeting last seen status offers a small hit of dopamine, a confirmation bias that justifies our continued surveillance. It's a psychological trap where the act of looking, not necessarily what we find, becomes the reward. Consider the common behavior of checking a former partner's social media. What begins as a wistful glance often evolves into a meticulous dissection of their new life. The hidden signal here is often a mix of unresolved feelings, a fear of being forgotten, and a primal need for validation. We search for signs of their happiness or, ideally, their unhappiness, hoping to gauge our own lingering impact. The psychological effect is a distorted reality. We see curated highlights, not the full, messy truth. A smiling photo with new friends might trigger pangs of jealousy and a narrative of they've moved on so easily, while overlooking the struggles that exist beneath the surface. The consequence, this constant comparison erodes our own healing process, preventing us from moving forward. It fosters resentment, keeps us emotionally tethered, and diminishes our self-worth by placing their perceived happiness above our own progress. An alternative approach would be to consciously redirect that urge. Instead of scrolling, pick up a book, call a friend, or engage in an activity that genuinely brings you joy and pulls your attention inward, nurturing your own life rather than obsessing over someone else's. Then there's the obsessive tracking of online status, the last seen, the typing, indicators, the read receipts. This behavior often stems from a deep-seated expectation of immediate reciprocation and a fundamental attachment anxiety. We interpret every delay, every moment of inactivity through the lens of our own insecurities. If they're online now but not responding to us, a narrative quickly forms they're ignoring me, they don't care. I'm not a priority. The psychological effect is a magnification of perceived slights, turning innocent delays into significant rejections. We construct elaborate stories around these snippets of data, often far removed from reality. The consequence is a constant state of internal turmoil, an endless loop of overthinking, and a strain on actual communication when it does occur. How many arguments have started because one person misinterpreted a last seen timestamp? A healthier alternative involves practicing patience and cultivating trust, not just in the other person, but in the natural rhythm of communication. Understand that an online presence does not equate to immediate availability or a direct obligation to respond. Finally, consider the compulsive need to monitor texts or messages after sending them, immediately watching for that read receipt or the quick appearance of typing. This is validation seeking in its purest, most immediate form. It signals a craving for instant gratification and a fear of being left in limbo. The psychological effect is an amplified sense of urgency around every interaction. A few minutes without a reply can feel like an eternity, triggering a cascade of anxious thoughts. The consequence is heightened stress, a tendency to appear overly needy or impatient, and an environment that stifles authentic, unpressured communication. This behavior creates a feedback loop of anxiety that can become exhausting for both parties. The alternative is simple, yet profoundly challenging. For many, send the message, and then consciously disengage. Put the phone down. Focus on something else entirely. Trust that a response will come when it's meant to. This isn't about indifference, it's about reclaiming your mental space and respecting the autonomy of the other person. The identity shift required to break free from relational surveillance is profound. It moves us from a position of seeking external validation and control through observation to one of understanding our own intrinsic worth and emotional boundaries. It means recognizing that constant monitoring doesn't bring you closer to someone. It often pushes you further away from yourself. It's a shift from believing that if I know everything, it'll be safe to understanding that my security comes from within, from my ability to manage uncertainty and trust my own judgment. This isn't about being naive or ignoring red flags. It's about discerning between genuine intuitive insights and obsessive, anxiety-driven data collection. So, how do we begin to reclaim our mental freedom from this digital tether? For the next 24 to 48 hours, choose one person whose online presence you habitually check. Make a conscious, deliberate decision not to look. Every time the urge arises, acknowledge it, but then immediately redirect that energy. Instead of opening their profile, open a book, start a journal entry, or take a few deep breaths. Observe the discomfort, the almost magnetic pull, but do not act on it. You're not just resisting an impulse. You're building a new neural pathway, a new habit, one small act of self-reclamation at a time.